What's going on, everybody? Lamar Brown here, founder of BP Pro Fitness. Today, we are talking nutrition. We have my good friend, Carrie Wachahusky in the house. We've
Good
done it
job.
before. She had a beautiful testimony. But today, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. It seems like nutrition is that constantly moving target. Hopefully, Carrie's going to help us, guide us and get us some good concepts to get our nutrition on point. Perhaps you're trying to lose weight. Perhaps you're trying to maximize your energy. We're going to give Carrie the floor here for the next hour. And so we're going to start off by just letting her introduce herself. And so without further ado, how are you doing, Carrie? And
I'm really good.
so
I'm really good. So I think this is perfect timing that we're doing this today. I've been talking with a lot of my clients about their New Year's resolutions and hard resetting and all that. So I like to share my story with people. So I'm going to do that because I think hope is really important. When people, like in your business, if people see Arnold Schwarzenegger or whoever their bodybuilding, strong idol is, they want the hope that it's even near possible to be strong, to be, stronger than they are now. So I used to have fibromyalgia. I used to have prediabetes. I had chronic fatigue. I had hormonal issues that made my periods really bad. I had horrible constipation. I just was a mess. I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And so, when I share that with people, they're like, oh, okay, you're not just some skinny girl that's always been healthy. Like, you've been through it. And I think that's huge, because if I can't speak to it in practical ways, then people don't, that trust isn't there as much. And I think in nutrition, it's really important to trust the person you're working with to, help you be healthy. So, for me, it took about a year to get rid of all of my issues because I just ate like complete crap. I ate so much junk and sugar and processed food and nachos and Del Taco chili cheese fries. I was the ultimate, junk food queen, and it manifested, earlier than it does for some people. Some people don't have health issues till they're 50, or 40 or 70. Some people don't get diabetes till they're 70. I happened to get really sick when I was 25. And in a way, I'm glad, because the earlier you address your issues, the less time it takes to get healthy. But I always tell people too, you have to be consistent over time. You have to be willing to do what it takes. So kind of like going to the gym. If you go to the gym and you build those muscles and then you stop going to the gym, the benefits go away. You lose that muscle, right? So nutrition is kind of the same. You have to make choices every single day that are going to get you where you want to be.
awesome. So awesome. I'm taking notes, and I love stories. Stories is huge, especially when we can relate to like you said, the general public. Truth is, most of us struggle with nutrition in some way, shape, or form, and probably even a nutritionist doesn't have the perfect diet, right?
I love nachos.
Come on, I got my weaknesses too. Chocolate chip cookies. Oh no, it's out.
But
All
I
right.
want to talk about that today, because I
Come
think
on.
it's no fun to be in a bubble. Like, you have to be able to enjoy
Come on.
your food,
That's
right?
right. That's right. Enjoy your food, and have a little bit of allowance for the bad, good stuff, right?
Right. But, I think it has a lot to do with finding better substitutes or alternatives too, because there are just some things that are never going to be good for you, no matter how much you wish it were, right?
Sure.
Like for me, it's alcohol. I can't do alcohol. I
Mm,
feel horrible when I eat it.
mm,
It's not worth it to me. And it makes me feel
mm.
so bad. And it takes me several days to recover from it. So I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm not doing it anymore. So I think it's important for people to identify what their, not kryptonite, but the thing that makes them feel sick. You have to be willing to give it up or find a better substitute.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Well, we're going to start with the questions. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So question number one question I get when they come to a trainer, right? When people come to a trainer and they come to me, how do I get rid of this excess fat in the belly, on the belly?
Right. Yeah. So The interesting thing, I of course am an advocate of exercise, but I always tell people you can't outrun your fork, meaning you can go to the gym and you can do crunches and you can do cardio and all this stuff. But if your blood sugar is out of whack, if your stress is off the charts, if your liver's not functioning well, then you're going to have trouble losing that top layer of belly fat, even if you've got a bunch of muscle underneath. So let me go through the three things that I just mentioned. So blood sugar. If you eat a lot of sugar, then your body never feels the need to go into fat burning mode because you've got plenty of energy coming from glucose. Glucose is the easiest form of energy for your body to use, to break down and all that. So you have to get sugar out of your diet. So I was talking about substitutes. I like chocolate. I like, having some sweet things from time to time. So what I've kind of learned to do is find recipes and modify them, or just find cool recipes from the get-go. I recently found a brown butter pecan cookies recipe that uses almond flour and raw honey. And if I eat a regular cookie, I feel horrible. But if I eat these cookies, I feel great. It doesn't affect my blood sugar. People always, my blood sugar on my blood work is amazing. And they go, you must never eat a carb. You must never eat anything sweet. And I go, no, I actually do. I eat a ton of raw honey. And I eat white rice noodles. I eat sweet potatoes. I like some carbs and all that. So the other thing I really like is RX bars. They're sweetened with dates. So there's no added like processed sugar. They have chocolate, they have blueberry, they have coconut chocolate. They have all these yummy flavors. They're really chewy and moist and all that. And then another alternative that I've found is called Better Cookies. They sell them at Sprouts. Where else do they sell them? They used to sell them at Costco. They might still sell them at some Costco's. They sell them on Amazon. That's where I get mine. I buy 6 bags a month and I just kind of eat them throughout the month. They're like these little tiny brownie bites, if you will. And I always tell people, you have to go in, not expecting it to be like a warm, gooey Ghirardelli brownie, because it just can't be, but they're still really good. So they're chocolate, they give you that cookie satisfaction. The other thing I do is a smoothie. I make a chocolate banana smoothie almost every morning, and you can add cocoa powder if you want to give it a little more of a chocolatey taste, or you can add strawberries if you want to give it that flavor. So it's all about changing your taste buds when you're making changes. So sometimes you have to be just patient with yourself. But like in a smoothie, I tell people add honey. If it's not sweet enough for you, if you have such a sweet tooth that it's just not doing it for you, add raw honey. Raw honey is sugar, but it's got enzymes in it that are so amazingly good for your blood sugar. It reduces cortisol in your body, because cortisol is one of the things that makes you crave sugar. So raw honey, eat it by the spoonful. Seriously, it's not a forever thing, but it's a tool to help wean you off of and get your body in balance so that you don't crave the crap sugar as much.
So, and that's what I was going to ask you a little more about honey too, because I use honey a lot as well. And it is tasty. You mentioned that it releases an enzyme, you said, like
contains an enzyme that is really good for the beta cell function in your pancreas. So your pancreas, the beta cells are what make insulin. So diabetics, they're not making enough insulin because they've eaten so much sugar over the years that their beta cells are pooped. They're tired. They're given up. So the enzyme in honey helps restore that function to the pancreas.
Wow.
So then, you're eating less sugar and you're making more insulin. Your blood sugar is just going to be really, really happy.
That's really good. Yeah. Thank you.
And then, and let me talk about the liver, because the liver is huge. 99% of my clients have liver issues and don't know, or they just don't realize how big of a deal or what that affects. So if you have high cholesterol, if you have bloating, if you get nauseous regularly, if you're constipated, if you have trouble falling or staying asleep, if you get migraines, a lot of the time, those symptoms are caused by a liver dysfunction. So the liver is like the oil filter on your car. It has a huge role. You change your oil more than you do anything else to your car, right? So anything you put in your mouth has to go through your liver, your filter. So the more crap we eat, the more alcohol we drink, we don't eat enough water or drink enough water. We don't eat enough veggies. We take medications. We don't get enough sleep. We have stress. All of those things put a burden on our liver, and our liver makes bile, and bile helps you metabolize fat that you eat and convert it into usable things. If you can't metabolize fat because your bile is sludgy and thick and you're not making enough or whatever, now you get cellulite. Now you get that belly fat that just won't quit. Or now you get that upper belly visceral fat that is really indicative of major health issues. So taking care of that liver, you know, not everybody has to give up alcohol completely, but it's all about what are you doing to love your liver every day? Because we all know we do things that don't love our liver every day, but what are we doing to love our liver? So lemon water, beets, celery, kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. Those are the veggies specifically that help detox the liver. Eating veggies in general is important for the liver because the liver is where a lot of toxins are stored. So if you're eating fiber, your body can go, okay, here's some toxins to bind to that fiber and get it out.
Right.
So
That's so good. I was writing
yeah.
down some things you mentioned too that I'm aware of: lemon water, beets, Brussels sprouts, vegetables. Did I hear you say something else? Like
Kale.
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 Yeah.
And one thing that I'll mention too, beet juice is a big thing in Orange County, especially because we have all of our juice stores. Beet juice can be a problem for people that have calcium issues. Beet juice contains oxalic acid and it binds to calcium and then you can't absorb it. So I don't recommend beet juice. I recommend cooked beets. Cook them yourself.
Interesting. So even putting them in a blender is not ideal?
Because they're raw. You don't want to do raw beets.
Got it. Well, so what about the ones, because I buy the ones from Sprouts that are like cut up like in a little container and
They're like pre-cooked.
I guess is yeah, it's actually I'm not sure if they're pre-cooked, but I usually put them right in a blender. But you said if you have a certain condition, it's not ideal, or
if you're prone to kidney stones, if you're prone to calcium assimilation issues would manifest like hormonal imbalance. Calcium helps the body make the hormones that it needs. If your blood work comes back with high calcium levels in your blood, that could be an issue, a reason that you want to stay away from beet juice. Like I'm one of those people. When I drink beet juice too many days in a row, my muscles start to tighten up. Calcium helps the muscles relax. When you work out, for example, and you're constricting those muscles, you're working them, your body pulls calcium out of your blood into your muscles so that they relax so you don't get a cramp. So people that are prone to cramps or like trouble with muscle recovery, that could be a calcium issue. But again, you know, calcium supplements you have to be really careful with because most calcium supplements are calcium carbonate, and calcium carbonate is horrible for you. It's rock hard, it's synthetic. It takes so much stomach acid to digest that form of calcium that you can end up with acid reflux, kidney stones, arthritis, calcifications around your heart. So you want calcium citrate or calcium lactate. Those are the two best forms of calcium.
Good. Calcium citrate or lactate.
Lactate, yeah.
But not
Carbonate.
Carbonate. Awesome. All right. And so we'll move on to question 2. The common claim is carbs is bad for me, right? And the key, so my question is it the key to losing weight over a long period of time, especially if you're exercising?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So my answer to that is a little more complex than maybe other people's. I look at blood type when answering that question because O blood types, they tend to be the meat eaters and they tend to love carbs, but if they eat carbs, they pack on pounds. They just do. And so, you know, pasta, bread, bagels, tortillas, especially those kinds, the wheat-based carbs, it just makes people in the O blood type category gain weight, retain water, gain 2 pounds overnight. And it's not a true 2 pounds of weight gain or fat gain, it's inflammation, it's water weight. So it's not as black and white as you know, are carbs good, are carbs bad? O blood types do well with brown rice, but they do really well with meat and veggies. A's and AB and AB blood types can get away with more carbs, but it's about balance. If your body is completely out of balance, if your blood sugar is off, if your cortisol levels are high, reducing carbs and picking the more complex carbs like quinoa or sweet potatoes, starchy veggies like, zucchini and squash and beets and stuff like that. Those would be better choices while you're finding your balance. But I hate to demonize carbs. If you're eating more carbs than if you're eating more calories than you're burning, then of course that's not going to help anything. And carbs do tend to be a big portion of people's diets. I'm sure when you work out with people, you're telling them less carbs, which is good. In general, the general population eats way too many carbs.
Right. Especially if someone comes in and I know they're overweight. It's like, I always tell people too, kind of like what you said, it really does depend on the person. I mean, for a good example, when I used to play college football, literally on the road while we're in a hotel looking at film, they used to just feed us spaghetti. I remember a parent was sitting there like, why are you guys eating all this carbs? I'm like, because we're out there playing football, we're burning it off. So it's just like you said, can't get too caught up in what's good and what's bad. It's got to be individualized. And what I like what you said is the blood type. So like you said, I think you said blood type O is kind of known for like putting on unwanted weight.
Putting on the weight with the carbs. Yep.
Do you find that pretty conclusive? Like most people pretty much, okay, that's really good.
Across the board, my O blood types. Yeah. And O blood types that exercise, they can get away with a little more carbs. Exercise is huge for O blood types in particular. They need to release those stress hormones that they
Yeah, because I think about the physiology, because I took a lot of sports nutrition. So as we know too, glycogen is that storage in the muscle. And of course, especially if your liver is depleted, right? I mean, as funny as this sounds, I don't even know if you can imagine this. I used to eat somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000 calories a day. And I'd still lose weight by the end of the season. That's how hard, they would play us. So here, the undergrads just come in. I was like, how much you want to bet I can eat these 4 plates? And all the upperclassmen like, don't do it. He can do it. That dude's greedy, right? And sure enough, but now I definitely can't do that. I'm like, that was the hardest thing. If that's one thing I can say I had to do was go from 7,000 to 8,000 calories to like 2,500 to 3,000. That was very tough, right? I was like, but I'm like, if I don't stop eating like I am, I'm going to blow up. So
you're going to blow up. Well, and that's such a good point. In high school, I'm sure a lot of people were like this, super athletic in high school. We graduate, we're not exercising, but we keep eating like we used to eat.
Right. And it just makes sense too, because I'm like, my pancreas is like, hey, we need some blood sugar in here, right? So I had to constantly be eating to keep up, because I remember too, carbs is a buffer to fat and it's a muscle sparer, especially if you're an athlete, right?
Right.
So it really has to be individualized, right? And why?
And that's why I don't like keto or paleo or, maybe, but maybe not, right? Keto for athletes, maybe because they're so athletic, but if their liver's not functioning well, then all that fat is going to cause them problems. So
that's good.
Yeah. So kind of my final thought on carbs, people like to say, well, everything in moderation. And it's kind of like this rationalization for them to eat carbs at every meal. If you're eating oatmeal for breakfast and quinoa for dinner, that's very different than eating a sandwich for lunch and pizza for dinner, right? It's not just the amount of carbs, it's the kind, but also what's coming along with it. Is it, a pastrami sandwich with no veggies versus, quinoa and some steak and some broccoli? Like those are 2 very different meals in that how they affect your blood sugar and your weight and all that.
Good point. And I'm glad you brought that up, because what just ticked in my brain was the glycemic index. Can you explain a little bit? Because I think that'll help.
Yeah. So I actually don't like glycemic index. I like glycemic load, because glycemic index takes 100 grams of any food and what kind of effect is this having on blood sugar. But sometimes 100 grams of something is way too much. It's not like a normal portion size. So it's not like a clear indicator of how it would affect somebody. Plus, if your pancreas isn't working well, then your glycemic effect is going to be different than someone that has really balanced blood sugar. So glycemic load, if you Google that, it'll tell you, it'll have a long list of all these different foods and how it affects blood sugar. So I like the foods that are in the single digits and the teens. Anything over that, those are the things that should be done in like moderation, like way more rarely. But again, if the people that look at this list and they go, holy crap, everything I eat is a glycemic load of like 40, 50, 60, 70, then give yourself a break, baby steps, don't go crazy and just give up. But, the ultimate, the end goal is try to eat things that are on the lower end of the spectrum for glycemic load.
It's good. Thanks for covering that. I don't think I've actually glycemic load, so I'm going to look that up. It's really good.
Yeah.
I like how you mentioned too, veggies is the key. It's like, good example, because I like pizza too. You should see how much spinach I throw on my pizza, because if I don't, I can't sleep. It's sitting there and you can tell it's not digesting. And when I wake up, I feel more refreshed when I eat that pizza with veggies. As much as I want to taste just the meat and all the slime and the grease, not worth it, like you said, on the back end, because I got to get up and I don't want to be puking and stuff, while I'm trying to work.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of leads into your next question, which is how much should I eat and how much should I refrain from eating at night?
Oh, yeah, that's such a good time question.
So some people are really sensitive and they, hold on. Sorry, that was my son calling me. Some people are like, if I eat past 5, I'm up. I have to have several hours between eating and going to bed. Some people like me, if I eat at 9 o'clock at night, I'm up at like 3 or 4 with my stomach not happy. So I think it kind of depends on the person. I've noticed that O blood types need to eat like early, like 5:30, no later than 6. And that helps them have really good sleep. A and B blood types, we have more sensitive stomachs and livers. And so I think like 7 is like the cutoff, it is a good cutoff. But then the other thing is, depending on the person, if they have acid reflux, or if they have, if they get bloated really easily, or if they feel, that stomach pain or whatever, you might want to take enzymes, or I'm going to give, where is it? You asked, oh, number 7, you asked for a good immune boosting cocktail. Well, I have a cocktail that I'll share that's good for the immune system, but it's also good for the digestion. So I always tell people, especially because it was the holidays, if you're going to overeat, or if you're going to eat a little later than is ideal for you, drink this or take some enzymes, because it'll just kind of give your body a little helping hand to not react so negatively, to eating late or overeating. Right. But I always tell people, if they're going to eat late, try to eat something light, right? If you're eating like fatty, meat heavy, heavy, creamy, that kind of stuff, that's going to be even harder on the digestive tract.
Sure. Okay. Let's see. Next question. Can you speak about gut health in terms of how it refers to our overall health? That's something that I've been really trying to tackle, because I've been hearing a lot about it. And so I was just curious, how directly or indirectly, relate to most health issues. And I might name a few, achy joints, brain fog, insomnia, headaches, constipation, irritable bowel, all this stuff. I just saw a long list of this, just hearing about gut health. Yeah.
So let me start with, if because we have eat crap for years and years and years and years and years, hot dogs, sugar, alcohol, bread, whatever. It creates this gunky lining in our intestines. And the large intestine is where iron, calcium, and magnesium are absorbed. So right there, if you have a gunky intestines, and if you have constipation or loose stools or diarrhea, then there's a very good chance that you're not absorbing all the good stuff that you may or may not be eating. So that's number one. I always ask my clients about their bowel movements, because if they have really loose stool or if they're really constipated, there's a very good chance they're deficient in calcium and iron and magnesium, which are all huge minerals. So I'll have them do a colon cleanse. So I can quickly say what that is, and people can try it if they want. But when I say colon cleanse, I don't mean they have to be near the bathroom for, all day. It's not that kind of colon cleanse, but it's kefir, which is like liquid yogurt. It comes in a tall, like pourable bottle. It's in the dairy section at the store. And you do 7 tablespoons of that, and you get ground up flaxseed. You can grind it yourself, or you can buy it pre-ground, and you put a tablespoon of that into the kefir. I put it in a little cereal bowl, and you just, first thing when you wake up in the morning, before you have anything, any coffee, any food, you eat this little concoction. And I think it tastes pretty good. But the flaxseed becomes like mucilaginous, like kind of slimy. You want to eat it before that happens, but in your stomach, it gets slimy. And then as it goes into your intestines, it globs on to all the crap that's lining our intestines and helps clean them out. So people that have looser stools, they mostly always notice that their bowel movements firm up, because now their intestines are getting healthier. They're being able to absorb and absorb the right amount of water into their stool and all of that. So that's number one. So if you're absorbing all the good stuff, then it's going to ripple effect out, and you'll get the benefits of the magnesium and the calcium and all of that. But then also, if you take an antibiotics and you've wiped out all the good bacteria in your gut, the bad bacteria have a party in your intestines, right. And that can affect your mood. It can affect your mood and your weight. So a lot of your neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine, are made in your gut. And so if your gut is just, I call it a toxic bowel. If you're super gassy all the time, if you're super bloated all the time, if you're constipated or have diarrhea or loose stools, that's a toxic bowel. So if you take antibiotics a lot, like I did, it was putrid gas, or just lots and lots of gas, or, whatever. The colon cleanse can help with that too, because the kefir has probiotics. So it helps kind of replenish, recolonize good bacteria in your gut. So it's twofold in that way. So that can help your mood. And I always tell people, try to avoid antibiotics as much as you can. A lot of doctors pass them out like they're candy, like they're no big deal. But the people that I see that have taken antibiotics, they gain weight like crazy. One of my clients got jaundice really bad from taking Cipro. And he already had like a history of liver issues. So then when he took Cipro, it just had such a negative effect on his liver that he got jaundice. And this was like in his 40s. And what else? If you don't have any good bacteria to kind of build your defenses and fight off the bad guys, you're also very prone to getting sick and repeat sick all the time. It's horrible. So I used to get bronchitis all the time. I'm very prone to bronchitis. And I've had it several times, and I didn't take antibiotics for it, and I was able to get rid of it using a lung supplement that I take. So it's all about having the tools. I always tell people, like, you're different, I'm different, this person's different. It's about knowing what tools you need in your toolbox. So, the colon cleanse is always a good place to start when there's any kind of intestinal or bowel issue, because it will help with cravings and absorption of the good nutrients and mood, and that's huge.
What are some foods that are like natural colon cleanses? It's like, I have this analogy where, just like my home, if I kind of maintenance it every day, do a little moderate cleaning up, to do deep cleaning, after a week or 10 days of just ignoring it. So like, that's kind of my mindset, when I'm eating, is to try to put some stuff in, that'll keep my bowels in good shape.
So veggies is kind of number one, because it keeps inflammation down and it keeps the waste moving through. People that struggle with constipation and they just don't go for several days at a time, that's a big problem. So veggies is number one. But then number two, protein. Protein is a carrier of nutrients. So when your food's digesting in your stomach, when it gets out of your stomach, it's kind of like sent off to their different destinations. You know, your body goes, okay, you go there, you go there, you go there. You need protein to disperse the nutrients. So those, you know, those are foundational. There's no substitute for that, for those two things. And then same thing for water. You have to have water in order to feel good. If you're dehydrated, you get headaches, you get constipated, you get bloated, you get inflamed. I mean, you get tired. There's all, you know, all kinds of ways that you can feel dehydration, but it's not good. By the time you're thirsty, you're dehydrated. And so that's kind of a preemptive must. But then, you know, what I tell my clients is, you know, keeping in balance is huge, because then when Christmas comes and you step off the wagon for a minute to have some pie or some, you know, whatever, it's not a big deal, because you've got such a solid foundation that your body's like, yeah, okay, no big deal, I can handle that. But if you're like teetering on the brink because you eat like crap all the time and your body's just in such disarray, then when you get to the holidays and now there's candy and chocolate and cookies and wine and all of these things everywhere, then you gain 10 pounds. And then you look back and you're like, how did that happen? And it's because you didn't lay a solid foundation. So I like that, you know, cleaning your house daily, just little things, dusting, you know, regularly. Being preemptive is huge.
Being what? Preemptive, you said?
Preemptive, yeah. Preemptive and proactive.
Got it. It was another question I had too about the gut. Let's see what will come to me. Oh yeah, bowel movements, like the average minimal. How many should people have? And you talked about the, you know, the condition, how it should, you know, how the bowel should feel. About how many would you say people should have?
My ideal is one good, clean, complete bowel movement in the morning, and you're done. Some people, a second one is okay, but anything more than that, I call it rapid digestion. Your body, your food is moving too quickly through your body, and it doesn't get to stay in your body and do what it needs to do. So people that go too often, I always go, we need to slow that down. I call their livers spazzy. I'm like, your liver's a little spazzy. We need to make it happy, balance it out, so that one a day, because while you sleep, your liver's detoxing. So when you wake up, it's kind of like, okay, let's take out the trash before the day starts so that you can feel good, right? If people don't go to the bathroom until 6 o'clock in the evening, they've carried that crap around them now for 24 hours. You know, it's just a sign of their liver not being as, like people that don't sleep well, they often have constipation issues, or they just don't go right in the morning. So one a day is my ideal. But it should feel very complete, very cleaned out when you're done.
Okay, good. Just taking some notes. All right, we're ready for the next question.
Wow.
Let's see. What are common nutritional health issues people that people are dealing with, like after these lockdowns, or should I say while we're in these lockdowns? Some people are.
Yeah. So the first one that I noticed was fatty liver. People cleaned out the shelves at Bevmo and, you know, Total Wine and all of that. People were home, they had nothing to do, they were drinking more, they were stressed, they were anxious, they were bored, you know, whatever. And so they were just drinking a lot. And so even young people, they're coming in and they're having that really high upper belly fat that I was talking about. And that's just, they were ordering food out a lot because it just broke up the monotony of being at home 24/7. And so food was kind of even more so their fun thing, right? Eating and drinking. So fatty liver, which is a big deal. It's a really big deal. Once you get fatty deposits, now you like need to, you know, do a freaking, what's it called? A major flush of your liver. So the other one is, of course, weight gain. So many people gained weight. They were moving less, they were more stressed out, they were eating more, drinking more, and all of that. And then the third one is all the mood, you know, anxiety, depression, trouble sleeping, is a big
Mhm.
one. You know, people were, when you're stressed out for long periods of time, it depletes your adrenal glands, and your adrenals regulate your circadian rhythm. So if you're finding yourself not tired until 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, that's a sign your liver or your adrenals are trying to tell you, I am depleted. I've had way too much stress for too long. So a really quick, easy thing. Let me talk about this now. It'll be part of number 7 also, but
Yeah.
um, I have a drink that I recommend to people. It's called a digestive tea. It's not actually tea, but you drink it warm. It's apple cider vinegar, lemon, raw honey, cinnamon, cayenne, pink salt, and water. So the ratios vary a little, but it's 8 ounces of water, half to a full teaspoon of raw apple cider vinegar, 1 to 3 teaspoons of honey, kind of depends on how sweet of a tooth people have. If they need more, they can do more. And then lemon to taste. Every lemon is juicier or bigger or smaller or whatever. So whatever, just put some lemon juice in there to taste. And then cinnamon and cayenne powder to taste, and a little dash of pink salt to taste. So pink Himalayan salt has 84 different minerals that are good for your kidneys, your adrenals, and your nervous system. So pink salt everywhere, salt for everyone. It doesn't cause high blood pressure. It doesn't cause inflammation like kosher and iodized salt do. And they're beneficial. They're therapeutic for the body. So I tell people, drink that concoction 8 to 24 ounces a day. So the recipe I just gave, that's for 8 ounces. So people can triple it and double, triple, whatever. I drink mine in a hydro flask. I just make 24 ounces, in the morning, and then I don't have to think about it again. I just sip on it all day long, sort of trying to think of alternating with my water, my plain water. But it's so good for digestion, because the acetic acid and the malic acid in the apple cider vinegar are good for breaking up gallstones and digesting protein. And then you've got the lemon water for your liver, which makes bile and fat digesting enzymes, and it reduces cortisol, and it's good for your kidneys. And so it just covers a lot of bases. It helps with sleep and stress. It can sometimes be a good coffee replacement for people. Some people don't handle coffee well, but they're so addicted to it that they drink it anyway. And so I always tell people, like, drink this. I'm not saying don't drink coffee, but they kind of naturally transition over to digestive tea, and then it feels better. I've had people get rid of acid reflux drinking this. And it's really good for like fatty liver and sleep and stress.
That's good. What was the ingredients? I have apple cider vinegar, honey, lemon, cinnamon, cayenne pepper. Is that what you
And
said?
pink salt. Yeah, cayenne
Pink
pepper
salt.
powder and pink Himalayan salt.
Oh, cayenne
Pepper powder.
powder. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it comes in a little spice jar.
Oh yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking of something else. Okay, awesome. And how much did you say we should use of the apple cider vinegar? Like
I say start with half a teaspoon, see how that works for you. Some people I love vinegar, so I put more, but some people are sensitive to it. So start with a half a teaspoon if you want to do more.
If it's too concentrated, you could be sensitive to it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, some people that have like ulcers, or some people have Barrett's esophagus, which is when your stomach cells come up into your esophagus because of acid reflux, and that can be an issue. So, it's not for everybody, but the general public, they like it and benefit from it.
And this is in general good for your liver and
your liver, your kidneys, reducing cortisol. It's good for blood sugar. It's good for sleep, energy, and your immune system.
kidneys. Immune system is good.
And acid reflux. I don't know if I said that already.
Okay. I'm writing all these down. All right. Good. All right. Next question. Unless you need to elaborate anymore. Okay. We have, where are we at? Number 6. What are the general negative effects from simulated sugars and preservatives and dyes and all these harmful substances in our food?
Yeah. So I'll start with, anything that you put in your mouth has to go through your liver. So preservatives, dyes, chemicals, all of that. It adds to the queue of an already long list of things that your liver is supposed to do every day. So that's number one. Preservatives like BHA, BHT. If you look on gum packets, a lot of the time there's BHA and BHT. Frozen foods have BHA and BHT. It causes lung issues. It's bad for the lungs. So people that are worried about COVID.
I'm sorry,
BHA.
I've seen that. I've always wondered what that is. What is that short for?
Oh gosh, I
Something
can't remember.
long, huh?
It's some long, yeah,
Bad
scientific.
idea. Yeah.
It's a
got it.
preservative and it's horrible for the lungs. And then there's another preservative called potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate. Those are two preservatives that are also horrible for the lungs. So those things are found in like hummus, or what else is it in? It's in so many things. I've seen it in aloe vera.
It's in hummus, huh?
Yeah, not all, but some.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a preservative. So there's a lot of things with preservatives in them. So it's mostly not good for the lungs. And then dyes, of course, they talk about how red food coloring and yellow food coloring isn't good for hyperactivity and focus in kids. I tend to think it's just not good for people in general, but it's not good for the liver. And like I said, the liver it helps make melatonin. It makes melanin. Melanin is it's your skin pigment, and it's good for your hair and your hair, your skin. What am I missing? Hair, skin. I'm blanking on, sorry. It's hair and skin. A moisturizer, sorry. It's a good natural moisturizer. But it also makes bile to help you digest fat, and it also makes histamine and antihistamine. So when people have crazy allergies, it's usually because their liver is making too much histamine and not enough antihistamine. So if people take antihistamines, it's because their liver is not functioning well. Even if your liver enzymes and your cholesterol look fine, or they're not too bad on blood work, it's still a liver issue. There can still be dysfunction, even if there's nothing diagnosable. So yeah, I've had people get off allergy medications that they've taken for 25 years in like 3 weeks, just by addressing their liver. So when I drink wine, I get really itchy. I sneeze for days. I take a supplement that helps get rid of all that excess histamine that builds up, and it's gone. It's really cool.
Yeah, I used to use one a while back too that was working pretty good. I just look it back up. What's the one you say you use?
The one I use is called Antronex. It's ANTRON as in Nancy EX. Antronex.
Antronex, antihistamine.
It's a natural antihistamine. Yeah.
Yeah, the only time my allergies kick up is like in the summertime. Like if if I'm in the grass or around like farm animals, like that's when they really act up. So you're saying take this before I get around that? It could help. It could block it.
It could help. Yeah. I mean, if it's like a lifelong issue, it may not, miracle right away, but it does help. My son got a really bad spider bite once, and it was like swelling up. It was on his wrist, and I gave him Antronex, and it just knocked it out. I was worried we were going to have to go to the ER or whatever, but it just knocked it out. Yeah.
Keep that on deck. You never know, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
And then last thing, sugar. I mean, sugar alkalizes the stomach. Everybody hears the word alkaline and thinks that's good, but your stomach needs to be acidic, very, very acidic, to digest protein and also to keep all the bad bacteria and parasites and viruses away. It's what makes up 70% of your immune system. So if you're eating sugar and you're alkalizing your stomach, you are seriously cutting yourself off at the knees, digestion and immune system wise. So that's why sugar, I mean, it sounds so extreme, but sugar is just horrible for you. It's horrible. There's nothing beneficial about it. And it's so common, but it's not normal, right? 100 years ago, we were not eating this much sugar.
It's just, for so many people, they just find that deflating, like, because it's in everything. Right. And people really love it. And they want it. Don't take my sugar away. But I couldn't agree with you more. And I couldn't agree with you more in terms of, my experience too. Like, especially when you get in, like for me, if I'm going to eat sugar, try and eat it with something to kind of help slow the absorption too. Because if I eat just like something really sweet all by itself, oh, I
Too
just,
much.
yeah, like, even if I'm at a party and I'm moving and stuff, I'm like, oh gosh. So,
Yeah.
wow. So it's just that detrimental to the body, huh?
Yeah. And what I tell people is, using the crowd out method, meaning add the good stuff in, right? Start with the digestive tea and then try to eat a veggie at every meal and then try to get protein in at every meal. Like your body physiology, your blood chemistry will change. And then you'll be like, I didn't even want that today. That's weird. I've had so many people tell me, holy cow, I don't even want bread anymore. I don't want wine anymore. I don't want chocolate anymore. It's a freaking miracle. And I'm like, it's not a miracle. It's just, you were consistent adding these things in that created balance. Your body really likes that. So it doesn't need or crave, so thinking about it in like the end goal, not like, I can't have this and I can't have this and I can't have this. Just add things in that are good for you.
And it'll help remove that bad craving. I'm hearing too, like your gut is like, it's like has its own brain too. So
Yes.
whatever you feed it, that's what'll change the taste bud up here, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. There are bad bacteria and yeast that crave sugar. So if you just feed that yeast constantly with sugar, you're going to crave more sugar, right?
Hey, feed us.
Yes, exactly. It's like, woohoo. When a lot of people say, well, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. And I'm like, well, it's not just about willpower, because some people literally cannot help themselves because they're just so addicted to that dopamine high that they get, and that their gut is like, don't take that away from me. I'll make your life miserable. And so that's why adding the good stuff in is so important. You can't just cut out the bad stuff and like cross your fingers. You have to be methodical about it and add stuff in that's going to make your body happy at the same time.
Wow, that's good. It's a good analogy there. All right. Let's see. What question are we on? Is that good?
Number 7.
One more, right? What are some good organic immune boosting cocktails for early treatments of colds? That can make people from home, that people can make from home, without using like over-the-counter drugs.
Yeah. So the digestive tea is huge. Whenever my son starts to seem like he's getting sick, I go, "Do you want some digestive tea?" And he'll go, "Yeah." And it cleans out the lymphatic system. Your lymph nodes, right? They get swollen when you're starting to get sick. If you keep that lymph flowing by taking care of your liver and feeding your body good stuff, not just continuing to eat crap, then that'll help knock it out, the sickness out faster. Another thing that you can do either in the moment or just every day as a preemptive tool is aloe vera. This is the brand that I recommend. Lakewood Organic Whole Leaf Aloe Vera. There are no other aloe veras that I found that I like. So I'm really, really a stickler on get this one. You can get it at Sprouts, Whole Foods, on Amazon. It's more expensive on Amazon. You can get it on a website or an app called Thrive Market. It is membership based, but you more than get your money back for all the discounts you get on stuff. So 2 ounces. I just drink out of the bottle because no one else drinks it in my house, but a little shot glass before bed every night. It's a prebiotic, so it feeds all the good bacteria in your gut, making your gut nice and happy, which will make your immune system happy. And then it also has chlorophyll in it. It comes from a plant, right? We used to use aloe vera on our cuts and burns back in the day. Well, it's because the chlorophyll is very healing. So chlorophyll cleans your blood. So, we put sunscreen on, we put lotion on, anything that goes through the skin bypasses the liver right into the bloodstream. So chlorophyll or aloe vera is a nice immune booster because it's got a lot of vitamin C, and we're always wanting vitamin C, right? But I don't like Emergency, and I don't like Zip Fizz or whatever. What's that other one?
That's all I hear. I use Emergency. Great. Okay, now since you brought it up, because I don't use it either. I'm like, commercialized. What's so bad about it? Like, I'm just like, anytime it's pushed or that 5-hour energy, I'm like, yeah, it's can't be good.
It can't be good. Yeah. So the number one thing, I want to say, it's been a little while since I've looked at a label of one of those, but I want to say they put synthetic B vitamins in those.
I knew it.
Um,
I
but
figured
then the other part is, it's like 20,000, I don't know, it's some ridiculous percentage of your daily recommendation of vitamin C. And granted, vitamin C is water soluble. So it's not like you can truly overdose on vitamin C, and that's probably why they do it. But if you look at the label, it usually says vitamin C, and then in parentheses, it says as ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is just the protective shell around the vitamin C complex. So if you're only getting ascorbic acid, you're missing out on several key components of what the whole vitamin C complex can benefit you. There's antioxidants, there's quercetin. It's so important to get all of it. So people always think more is better. It's got 500% or 1,000% or 20,000%. More is better. It's not, because if it's a crap version, if it's synthetic and your body can't use it because it's like, I don't know what that is. I don't recognize the form that it's coming to me in. If you were to eat an orange, I mean, oranges always are touted as high vitamin C fruits. Kiwi has even more. Pineapple has even more than that. Pineapple is my favorite because it's also got bromelain, and bromelain is an enzyme that helps with inflammation and protein digestion. So it's kind of a win-win. If you can't do fresh because it hurts your tongue, you can do frozen pineapple chunks from Trader Joe's, or you can buy pineapple juice. The only pineapple juice I recommend, it's Trader Joe's sells these little yellow cans. They're like this big around. They're smaller than soda cans, but I feel so good when I drink those all the time. No blood sugar issues. I drink apple juice, I feel horrible. So there's a huge difference too between those kinds of carbs, in fruit form and juice form and all that. So pineapple juice is really good for your immune system. What was I saying? Vitamin C. Oh, yeah. So oranges, kiwi, pineapple, bell peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, all of those things have vitamin C. So I say, eat those things, make soup, or, eat a little bowl of pineapple every day when you're sick. That is so much better for you than this powder that's been processed with who knows what. Supplements aren't regulated by anybody. So you do not know what you're getting. Just because everybody buys it doesn't mean that it's necessarily safe. And something that I'd love to, to that point, I just had a client today tell me that they were taking a medication, and I can't remember what it was, but they were told by their doctor to stop taking it because it was found out that it causes cancer.
Oh.
And so there are a lot of things on the market, supplement and medication wise, that can cause all kinds of issues. So, don't assume that just because it's at the store on the shelf that it's safe. You have to be your own health advocate. You have to read your labels. You have to do some research or find somebody that you trust to work with to help you navigate through, because it's getting harder and harder because everybody wants in this supplement game. Everybody buys supplements, millions of supplements, way too many supplements. And so many of them have junk in them. Soybean oil and propylene glycol, which is a petroleum derivative. So anyway, all that long tangent to say, don't like airborne, don't like emergency, get it from food as much as humanly possible. Your body will thank you for it.
It's a good summary. So I wrote something that came to mind. My son, when he was first born, he just loved milk, right? And I knew I had to get him off of it. And so slowly but surely I was able to wean him off of it. And, he's okay with almond milk, with his shakes. Do you find almond milk to be a pretty good substitute, or what? What's your thoughts?
Well, let me comment on milk first. So I don't like milk in general, but only because it's pasteurized and homogenized. If it was raw, which is available, but it's expensive, then I don't mind that as long as you can handle it. If it bothers you, then obviously don't drink it. But I like raw milk. It's amazing. It's got a ton of vitamins, minerals, good stuff for your gut. But if you can't do milk, almond milk is good. The one brand that I love, that I feel super comfortable with, is Califia. A lot of the other brands like Silver, it's Califia. You can get it Sprouts.
FIA,
Yeah,
Calif.
Califia.
Okay, that's the one you like.
That's the one I like. I'm sure there are other ones out there that are good, but my problem has been a lot of almond milks contain carrageenan, which is an inflammatory preservative, so it's not good for the digestive tract. And then it also usually contains synthetic vitamin A and D, which those are fat soluble vitamins. So you don't want synthetic fat soluble vitamins storing up in your body because your body can't use them and they just build up and build up. And then a lot of them have calcium carbonate in them too, which, like I said, is not good for you. So I'm very picky about almond milk, but I'm fine with it as long as it's a good one. I think nut pods are good too. Some people like nut pods, like for their coffee. Nut pod brand is good if people want a replacement for their creamer.
The raw milk, is that like what it literally says on these cartons? This is raw milk. And because I go to Sprouts a lot, I think you said I can get the Califia. How do you pronounce it?
Califia.
Now, and then raw milk, like what brand? What
There's only one brand. It's Organic Horizon or Organic Pastures or something like that. It's the only brand you'll find there. One brand. They sell it in a quart, a half gallon, and a gallon. So you can buy a smaller one and try it, see what you think, see what your son likes.
You said it's either her I'm writing notes. I got twisted up. But for the Khalifa, what is that again?
Califia almond milk.
Oh, it's an almond milk. That's right.
Yeah.
What that was. So you said it's a Horizon brand, the raw milk, I think you said?
Yeah, it's like Organic Pastures. I think it's Organic Pastures is the name of the company. But
Okay.
it's literally, that'll say raw.
Yeah, sometime he asked for, he like crazy. I remember he used to crave it really bad. And I knew I had to get out of his diet because it was messing him up. He's so cranky all the time.
Yeah.
You know, up and so, but if I have to give
that.
Yeah, have it on deck. Organic.
Yeah. And this is what I tell people. It's like $15 a gallon, but this is the way I think about it. If you drink, you get 16 servings out of it. It's like 90 cents a cup, and you're getting all these. Right. It's like a vitamin. 90 cents a day to get all this good calcium and magnesium and iodine and vitamin D. To me, it's worth it. So.
That's good. Wow, such good information. Thank you so much. How would we summarize all the great stuff we just learned?
Well, I would summarize it by saying, be patient with yourself. Eat like you love yourself. Eat like you love yourself, because if you know that you eat certain things and you get tired or bloated or whatever, you're not doing things that show you that you love you, right? Because when you love someone, you want them to feel good. You want them to be their best and all of that, right? So you gotta make little choices every day that will 1 degree of change. If you do one thing today and one thing tomorrow and one thing the next day, like soon you'll be, heading in a totally different direction than you thought possible.
Sure. For people who, do you ever get people who are afraid to find out what they're not going to be able to eat anymore after they take that nutrition test?
I do. So that's
so much really that they won't even take it.
Right. Well, this is what I tell people. I'm not going to tell you to give up your chocolate or your wine or your coffee or whatever. We're going to give you some things to add into your diet that are going to make you feel good. Yeah.
That's what I was hoping you said.
I don't want you fighting against yourself or me, right? Yeah. It's a process. And it really works if you go, yeah, okay, that's doable and that's doable. I'll commit to doing those things consistently for 2 weeks. Make it bite-sized. Don't make it overwhelming. I'm not going to do this for 6 months, 2 weeks, right? Sure. Pick a veggie you like, eat it every day.
Right. And do you find, I shouldn't say do you find, obviously portions is important. Do you find that hard to calculate, especially with our ever-changing situations, whether we're active more one day than the other? Our metabolism is obviously changing every few years. It's something, just kind of curious about. Say.
Yeah, so I usually don't I don't give people a calorie goal or anything. I can tell them how many calories they're burning just being alive. So that gives us a good baseline. But I try to get people to be in tune with themselves, right? If they're like we talked about going from high school to being more sedentary, if you're just used to ordering a Big Mac and fries and a drink and a whatever at where's that from? McDonald's. And you just keep doing that, it's just a habit. So when I start working with someone, I'm like, okay, now you're going to start paying attention more. Are you hungry? If you're not hungry, stop eating, save it for later, right? Like just little things that I challenge them to think about and pay attention to, because so often we don't even think about that, right? So when I just say, fill out this food diary, tell me what you're noticing, tell me what you're feeling, how you feel after you eat. And people will notice, okay, I get halfway through and I'm done. I'm not as hungry as I used to be. And I'm like, amazing. Because again, now I'm not being strict and, dictator saying you can only have a half a cup of this, it's just getting them in tune and setting up the right positive feedback loop and giving them like accountability and the tools to make the changes, but not making them feel guilty for not being perfect.
Sure. And spacing out the meals too. Like I'm finding people who fast or go too long throughout the day without a meal, and they just indulge, right? They eat too
Right.
much.
Yep.
I've found that, not only do people have a hard time slowing down when they eat, but make sure they chew their food thoroughly too, right? That plays into what? Like what does that do from a digestive perspective if you're eating too fast and not chewing your food properly?
Right. Well, you're making your stomach work harder if you don't chew your food. And depending on how much stomach acid you make, if you're an A blood type, you probably make a lot less stomach acid and you struggle with digestion issues more. So yeah, chewing your food well enough, I eat at my desk sometimes, but I just have to tell myself, don't swallow your food until don't be in such a hurry that swallowing your food undigested. So it's as simple as that, just being mindful.
If your stomach is working harder, would that mean you might get more acid reflux, stay bloated longer? I don't know what, not.
Yes, especially if you're
because everything's so chunky.
Yeah,
especially if you're
exactly. Especially if you're a big meat eater,
Mm-hmm.
because meat is the hardest thing for your stomach to break down. If you're an O blood type, maybe not, but all the other blood types tend to have a little more trouble with meat. So the more you can chew it up, if you need a hydrochloric acid enzyme, do that, whatever you feel like you need to do, but you got to chew your food and eat semi-regularly.
Okay.
We're at an hour and 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, this was good. I almost forgot to, I did forget to put a portion control question in there because that was important. It came to my mind, but you definitely covered it really quick. And so thank you. Thank you, so much, Carrie. And this was a great interview. Very knowledgeable. Took as many as I could, but good thing I can go back and listen to it.
Listen to the recording. That's right. Yeah. So when you send this out to people, if they, have any questions or want to chat with me, I'm always happy to. I do offer free consultations if people want to see if it's a good fit, because like I said, you have to find the right fit for you. But if people feel inspired because it's January and they like what they heard, you've got my number. So
awesome. And do you want to state your site? I think you have a site.
Sure. My website is pathtohealthoc.com. PATHTO healthoc.com.
OC.
And my email's on there, my phone number's on there. You can reach out however.
All right. So if you want that more personalized help and recommendation, Carrie's got your back. I believe you offer some type of coaching too, like kind of chat coaching. I remember you talking about if people have questions and stuff like that. Do I remember? Yeah.
I mean, I am HIPAA compliant and all of that. So I can't just, you have Hashimoto's? Here, let me tell you what to do. I have to be working with someone to be able to address those kinds of things. But, like I said, if people want to see if I might be able to help them, I would love to chat.
Awesome. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
well, I'm going
and
to take us
enjoy
off
your day.
record then.